So stay with us. There's many more deserving folks, and they'll be doing this more often. The reason we're doing this is that everyone here, whether they're receiving an award or not, is so generous with your gifts of talent and time and just making available to everyone a love of history. That's why we're all here.
grinder, arc welder, and metal shears. John, I'm really proud to present our Sheridan County Historical Society's Award of Achievement.
No speech?
He was invited to the hearing.
We are very pleased to, after the program, the chairs have donated some artifacts for our museum, and they are wonderful. For monarch gold, there's a time book which I don't even want to touch because Dana would slap my hands because they don't have white gloves on. And the Sheridan Cold time book. And Mary Ellen was showing me there's a list of names that we've read our phone book today. It's very, very fun. I'll just give her the years. Do we know what the year is from? No. I don't. Oh, 1952. Perry, Kurt, Sabatka, Daniels, Monolok, Wiggersby, Axman, Burry, Eilish, and a lovely trade, and the Sheridan, the library, the Carnegie Library. Main Street, but come on, one, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Dana will be seeing you with paperwork. Our next award is for the Sheridan County Public Library. And we could go on the rest of the afternoon about what the library does and how it's done. I think we're all here, we come here every day, but we need to be reminded that this library is just, there's none like it. It has such a bond between history and what other stuff library does. Both something. Yeah, the concept for the Wyoming room started in Diane, Rio. You're all familiar with the book, that little book that was done. Where, for the summer display of all the sculptures. There's a lot of work went into this. Diane Davis can be discussing. And Diane did all this research and put the book up together. And I'm happy to arrange to have all those sculptures here. So,
we're really pleased to accept this award, and accepting it for all of our staff, of course. And I'm really pleased that Helen Graham is also here, because she's, I think, one of the reasons there is such a strong bond in our library, which is not strong presence in the history of our area. And Helen worked with the library for over 30 years, and the Wyoming, the first Wyoming veterans home. Very instrumental primary person. Thank you, Helen, for that. And it's so much fun to help carry on the legacy that she established. As far as the chair piece of it goes, my staff just all deserve a huge thank you. They worked very hard to put these together. Of course, it was Mary Ellen's idea, and she always denies it, that she planted the seeds, but she did. And I'm very grateful to you, Mary Ellen, that you did that, because many people said this is the best thing the library ever did. And I agree. It was really an outstanding exhibit. And Diane Rios, she and Dave Caldwell had the job of deciding how these sculptures were going to fit in the library. They worked very hard on that for quite some time, and then, as Linda mentioned, Diane did the research for this, and then Diane Davidson also did all the graphics to help with the. So those three, Dave Caldwell, Diane Rios,
recompense other than getting to stand around in the hot sun and play for a couple hours, but they were really good and we enjoyed it. We had a cowboy poet and a Native American spiritual leader, and the Chamber of Commerce was a big help, and the Downtown Sheridan Association was a big help. As always happens in Sheridan, the community supports whatever goes on in the community, and I wouldn't live any place else but Sheridan. We look forward to whatever our next projects are going to be. She wants me to say a few words. There's no such thing as a few words, right? The restoration of the big drawing in the lobby of City Hall was really one of the most historical things we did, and really turned out well. We're really proud of it. Charlie Popovich did the research for us, and if you purchase one of the prints, this is the small print that's available in town, either at Sheridan Stationery or Hanging Tree Gallery. You also receive a copy of the history of the artist and of this work. And last night I was reading Charlie's book about Sheridan County schools last night to find out what school that is. You can see in the middle of that picture, and about where the current post office is.
Well, you thought maybe I'm kind of hard of hearing and I'm hard of seeing too.
No, I was talking to Charlie Popovich, John. And that's probably enough said. I do want to say one more thing, though. I understand that the Bighorn drawing has come to light, and that there is a copy that we can make copies of, and I want to let the Historical Society know that I will lend any expertise that I've learned about doing the restoration on this drawing to the Bighorn drawing project, so that that can be made available to the public. Thank you.
Yes, this is Dick Bodine, our board member that I delayed in introducing, and he will present to Kim Wallace.
Kim, this is a pleasure. I'm the token male in what I call the New News Girls Club. But we're here to honor Kim Love for his part in Grinnell Plaza development. He has been a longtime supporter of many things in Sheridan County pertaining to the historic group, the Sheridan Historical Society he participated in, the Heritage Alliance, I believe that's how you say that, Fortville Kearney, both the Fortville Kearney Association and the Foundation, Bozeman Trail Association, and many others. He allows the Sheridan County Historical Society to use his radio station, Public Pulse, and I think possibly Open Line. Did you ever do that for him? You don't like to call it in. He has served on many volunteer boards in the community and done many good things for us. But most importantly, this award is for the development of Grinnell Plaza. He has been on the committee, as Sean has said, and as she also said, he has been both an innovator and motivator, plus a hard worker. He donated the first piece of art, the title being Bozeman Trail Scout, which this is a smaller version. Is the tree you're going to substitute this one for the big one and take the big one home? He also coerced or challenged the second piece of artwork, which was a horse and rider titled Great Minds Think Alike, I believe. You were instrumental in getting that. And we'd also like to thank Mary for allowing him to participate in all these activities. Jim, thank you. And say a few words.
Well, actually, I'm kind of speechless here. They didn't tell me. Sean said, she had prepared anything that I know she come up here and pulled out. I'm fortunate the same speechwriter that John had here. So I really don't have a whole lot to it. And it's been actually quite a lot of fun seeing
Mary Ellen will now present.
Oh, this is Ellen.
The notes you gave me are terrible.
Who's on first? Who's on first?
Well, see the laughing for joy.
Yeah.
I'm ready for treats afterwards. Ellen Graham will now present. Bill Emery.
I was very pleased when I was asked to present Bill Emery for this award. Bill is my friend, and I worked with him a long time in the Wyoming Room. I thought that when I was talking about it, I thought Bill has spent over 50 years in the music business in Sheridan. But that isn't all Bill's done. He was a radio announcer. He's been a column. He's been a commercial artist for the press. He helped produce records. He and John McWilliams and Ed Freeman produced the first record for Chris Williamson on a Bonte label. I'm sorry I didn't bring it. I have one of hers. In 1964, folks, you know what has happened to Chris Williamson. He's become quite famous in the nation. In 1974, he and Mike Ingersoll did the same for Chris Ledoux. And we talked a lot about Chris Ledoux selling his tapes out the back end of his truck. We know he doesn't have to do that today. Bill started to, we visited about the music collection in the Wyoming Room. And those of you who know me know that I do not have any musical ability, period. So he was very kind. We talked and talked about music. And he started to bring things to the library for our collection. He's brought books. He brought sheet music. He discovered a great piece of Wyoming sheet music that was had a lithograph of Dowlings on it. We were so pleased, and we tried very hard to make the Wyoming. We did try. I'm not there anymore, but we did try very hard to make the Wyoming Room a place for Wyoming things. So the sheet music all pertains to Wyoming. And he's brought LPs, large band cassettes, videos, books, clippings, lots and lots of clippings, pictures, and memorabilia. Much of it is of historical as well as musical. He has a phenomenal memory. If you don't know that, he can tell you most of what's happened in Sheridan since he's been here. So we often say, tell us, what do you know about this? What do you know about that? You pick everyone's brain in the Wyoming Room because you need everybody. If you're going to make that room a success, everyone has to take part. So Bill has been a big help to us. So I'm very happy to present this award today to you, Bill.
Well, I am honored, and when I started working with the Wyoming Room, I didn't know that it would get this far. I didn't know that I'd be so dedicated to it, but as you work with these things, you really get enthused. And I found that because the room has developed into such a good area to store rare material, this state and actually southern Montana as well. I really got into it more than just the music end of it. I found now that I'm branching over into artwork, into just general rare Western historical material. That would have, if we didn't have that
all very much for this.
Mr. Bodine will now present.
Oh, you can
I
have
got
this.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Rosekill. You're in trouble.
I think that's quite clever. We're all out there.
They're all out, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, David Frank, this is your turn now. One more. He gets the Outstanding Restoration of the Old Depot Award. I believe that's correct. Pretty close. Historic Preservation Award. You're a relatively newcomer to our community, and so I called you early this morning. Got you out of bed, I'm sorry, to get a little background. And I thought it'd be interesting to know why, if he's a newcomer, why he came to Sheridan. He gave me a list of about 7 things. The schools. You like the schools here? It was an active community, lots going on, cultural activities, it had character, it had falconers, now we're getting to the meat of the thing, and it had good hunting. We should be proud of all this, I think, in our community, to draw somebody like this here. The Franks are they are publishers of books, and I assume authors of books on birds. David is an avid hunter and falconer and has found a niche here. There are others, of course, that do this. He has been at the San Diego Zoo. He was a curator of birds. He's been in England as a consultant on old castles, and I assume a curator over there also. The old castles had moats in them, and he said they dated from 565. So he came out here and tried to find something that's old, and he was 1,330 some years old. That's the best he could do with no moat. It's, I think, one of the older structures in town. He took that project on because of its location, its historical value, and his background. And he was committed to excellence in finishing it off. He jacked it clear up off the foundation, put a new foundation in it, gutted the inside, and that's just some of the things I saw. And he's done a wonderful job. So David, thank you. And you can say quite a few words if you'd like to fill in those gaps.
Gosh, I should mention my wife, who's taking a photograph of me right now. She's my best supporter. My wife, mother of my 2 fine children that are sitting there next to her. And they've supported me through this entire project. It's been a real emotional roller coaster, both in terms of the preservation and all the discoveries we made in the building, all the surprises we had, and all the financial surprises we had along the way. It took a very long time to get it done. But, we lived in a village in England just before we moved back to America, and we could walk down the road to a pub that was built in 1400 and had a thatched roof. You had a duck, you had to go in the door because people were a little shorter there. And so, coming from that perspective, and coming to Sheridan, Wyoming, and seeing a building that's 100 years old, it's not hard to see the value of something like that. And when you live in a country where they have so much history around them, and so much of it is preserved so well, I think it's just like a national park, like the wilderness. It's something that you realize that you inherit from your ancestors and you pass on to your children and their children. So you're really a caretaker of it in the meantime, and it really does define who we are, where we've come from, and where we're going. So it's really a worthy project, and obviously we wouldn't have taken it on had we not thought that we could make it commercially viable at the same time. And we became very fortunate to have the Daniels Fund help us out with that in the end. And they've also agreed to help out with a book on the depot. So we're trying to put together all the historical information that we can get, and they're going to fund the publication of a book on the depot itself. So that's great. And we'll probably come to some of you for some information on that. We had a great time with building this building.
She has had a very busy life. She not only really got the Bighorn Historical Society going with some help of some of the other natives from Bighorn, but she is the force behind it. She keeps things going, and she has such a marvelous mind and is always working, especially if she can get John or Betty or me to do it for her. She thinks, and we do the work. Sally is a wonderful historian. She's a great writer. I just wish that she would devote more of her time to writing, because everything that she writes, she sells, and it's all Wyoming history. She's had a lot of, I don't want to say trouble, but she's had a lot of sickness in her life, and she has kept going when I think anybody else would have stayed in bed all day. I will call her in the morning, and how do you feel? Oh, I'm all right. How do you really feel, Sally? Well, not real good today, but I'm going to work anyway. But she has worked on the Bighorn Historical Society's program. She got the Pioneer Day started, which was a great success. And I was president during that time for 2 years. And she guided me the whole way through it. I couldn't have done it without her. She is a wonderful historian, and she's wonderful for our Bighorn area. She takes care of the cemetery. I mean, she kind of knows who's buried in the cemetery at Bighorn. And if you have any questions that you might want answered on the Bighorn area, please give Sally a call. She will take all the time in the world to help you. She will talk to you on the phone. She will go through her research library, and she will take her time to help you. So this wonderful dear friend of mine, I am so honored to have been asked to present you with this award, Sally Springer.
No one can stand up here alone. We don't stand alone in this world. I've had about 57 years of help from the Bighorn people. So what I do for them, I owe them, and then some. And if you have the help of the people that are in our historical society, you just keep going too. I never get no, the answer no. If they can't do it, they'll say, I can't do that, but I'll do something else. So it's a marvelous group. We built it, 32 members up to 470. So we aren't going to give up yet.
Oh, no,
We have a copy of Sally's book down here, and That's where being a retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. Army, but a pilot. So we're recognizing Alan today, though, for his research writing and the display work he's done to recognize all of the musicians who graduated from Sheridan High School and gone on to careers or lifelong avocations in the performing arts. And you've got some examples here of that you can look at afterwards. He has established the Sheridan High School Hall of Fame for the performing arts, and it includes the youth that have graduated and gone on to careers or avocations, and it also includes people who have helped, like Bill Embry here, and Bill Avery and others. And of course, there's been some outstanding careers, Captain Stula, Joseph, and many people who've done a great deal in music. He's a high school graduate here himself, and he graduated from Northwestern University. He's played the piano, the bass, the French horn, and the tuba for church, community choirs at Sheridan High School, Sheridan College. He's a former member of several of his bands. If you haven't heard him when he played with the Dixieland Dudes, that is something wonderful. And he's performed in 30-some musical concerts. He's the manager for the concerts in the park, and he serves on the Sheridan Arts Council. This is in addition to wonderful historical drawings for which he won a State Historical Society Award in 1997. His service to the Fachon Wilson Trail Association, for which he won a Spur Award in 1998. And his column in Options, where he often delves into the historical. So I was going to tell you, you need to make a trip up to Sheridan High School and see the wall, but I don't know, Alan, you haven't got them all here, have you?
Oh, no, I just pulled some out at random.
Yeah, this is an example of what he has up there, and it's a wonderful work of research. So, thanks to my neighbor and friend, Alan Moore.
This is an example of using history to promote education. And here it's amazing what has come out of this thing. These kids up here don't have any, what do they know? They don't have anything to relate to. And things seem, it's every day to them. Sheridan High School has been a very special place, clear back to 1914 when we started the music program in school. On this, the music director for MGM for 30 years was a kid that came out of our Vega and Sheridan High School. We've got 4 in here with Metropolitan Opera, 2 singers and 2 musicians, and 2 of them are still with the Metropolitan Opera. We've had directors for a couple of major symphonies, the St. Louis Symphony, the Vienna Symphony, the Concertmeister for Nuremberg in Germany, which is a great big 4-theater thing of any kind of theater you want in there. And it goes on and on. One I'm working on right now is Mary Montaigne, or Mary Citrullian Montaigne. I don't know. Mary's about 94 now. She's difficult. She's a kid in 1930, graduated from high school. She wanted to be an opera singer. She went, they said, Milan, they have an opera there, and so she went to Milan, to the Royal Opera there, and they liked her enough that they sent her on down to the Royal Opera in Rome. And then from there on, she has been made Metropolitan and a number of over all the years, and then she finally moved back and lives in the same house she lived in when she graduated high school. They section in there for others who have contributed to the music and performing arts here in the community. And it's like, I've got Mary Burgess in here. That gal at one time had 80 students. She has taught I don't know how many pianos in this town. And next to it, I've got the album cover, Pete Schummer. Pete once said at lunch over there, about once a week at the Elks, he used to say, I wonder if I did the right thing. And he said, what are you talking about, Pete? He said, well, I could have gone into music or I could have gone into medicine. And one guy said, Pete, I heard you say you did the right thing. But he bumped me when he said that. I told him, I said, Pete, you certainly did the right thing. You've been getting paid for practicing all these years. You're doing the music there. That was in there. And they, it's amazing the sky's the limit on what a kid out here can do. And that's what I'm trying to do with these things in here. But one other one. If you're looking for a project for the Historical Society, the other morning, George Bostrom Jr. has got a loose leaf with pictures of all of the family, the artwork that the family has that George Bostrom seen. And George goes back and there's one of these pictures, he goes to this historic of Buffalo. We've got a number of his military, most of them. They're large ones out in the Army Museum.
at the inn was sold and will need to be raised soon. In order to save the building, it will have to be moved. Lots for the building were donated by the city near Thorn Rider Stadium and near the Dick Graves Trailer Park north of town, and there were others too. Conditions would allow it to be moved in one or two pieces. The inn building measures 140 foot by 80 foot. I was secretary treasurer for 3 years and recommended that the jobs be divided with all the Sheridan Inn business ahead of us. October 7th, 1965, the bylaws for the society separated the secretary treasurer job. For 3 years, saving in Sheridan Inn was a major endeavor for the Historical Society and the entire town of Sheridan. Everyone, young and old, worked, cleaning, cooking, and so on. Hyla Gilbert wrote the entire project in her book, How the Sheridan Inn was saved, and everyone should read that book if you have a chance. On June 23rd, 1967, the Sheridan Press reported that the Sheridan Inn was saved by Melody King. Thank you was said to all with a big sigh of relief. Our next project is saving Trail End and using it for a museum from January 1970 to March 1982. Finally, we were faced with major repairs to the building that we could not pay for. On March 28, 1982, we transferred by quitclaim deed our right, title, and interest in Trail End Historical Center to the state of Wyoming. We were thankful to have the state take over the care of the building and grounds. Shortly after, we had to remove our collections to make Trail End the Kendrick Mansion. This was not according to promises made before the transfer. I was president during that transfer. And in 1984, Linda Krill became vice president, and she's been working on this project all these years and carrying on very well. And you can see we've been striving for a museum, and we do not intend to give up. And I thank you for being with us.
We actually started at least 5 years before, and it was nice. We had a monthly meeting, and then we would afterwards, well, somebody would do a paper. I remember my first one was in 1957. I did one on the Negroes in Sheridan County, and then I updated that every year since in there. But in 1960, it got organized and really nice. It was social before that time. And my charter